Oh man. Throw down my copper. It sounds good, man. I found a lot of Indian heads and V-nickels right in this area. So I have my gain pretty low. I think I have it at 9, yep. I have my gain at 9. I have it in Park 2 mode. Yes, Park 2 mode. Oh, there's something in there too. Oh, that's good. That's really, really good. Oh, come on. That'd not be a nail. It's probably a nail. Probably a nail up here. There's just a lot of square nails here. I just lose it or what? It's down there. It's gotta be down there. Right there. It's shallow. That's a good thing, man. It's shallow. Big old square nail. Big tip of a square nail. It's probably what it was, man. I don't know, man. It just sounded shallow. Turn my pinpointer off here. Reset it. I don't know, man. It just sounded better than that. Right there. What the heck is that? I can't really see anymore. I think it's the end of a light bulb. Yes, it is. It's an end to a light bulb. I think so. But that's what it was. I'm gonna flip that plug over because I have my gain pretty low. Yeah, just some junk. Go down with my gain here. Oh, this sounds really good, man. The camera's probably bouncing all around because the light's not very good. But this could be something very, very good. I found a lot of relics right in this area. Old coins, old relics. Okay, it's gonna be in here. It's gonna be hard to find too because it's not hitting very good. Oh, it's gonna be something big. Yeah. Just one piece of iron or something. It's gonna be an epic relic. Just right near the surface. Right there. Oh, it's a key, man. I can't believe it. I've been through here so many times with so many detectors. I've detected right 20 square feet in this spot for at least 10 hours. And I just found a key 1.5 inches deep, right? And I've had high-end detectors here, man. The V3i, the MX Sport, especially Amphibio. I've spent a lot of time here with the Amphibio, but I just found a freaking key 1.5 inches deep in a spot where I found Indian heads and V-nickels. Just freaking absolutely crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. And that was a banging signal too. That was a banging target, man. There's big iron down there. That's good. If there's big iron down there, that's good, man. I have my settings just right. Yes, sirree. So what I'll do is I'll remember. I'll just go like this. Just save that for the dump. Right? I'm trying to dial in this detector. What? I just replaced the batteries like an hour ago. I think I may have gotten some bad batteries this last time. A couple of those packs have been pretty bad. The batteries have not been good. A little bit of an iron nail there. But I think there's something else in the hole. Right there. A big nail. Look at that. That's good, but it's not doing very well with big iron down there. It's doing very well with like nails and whatnot, but when you got larger piece of iron underneath targets like mid-range conductive targets, this coil is not performing that great. It's just, I've been struggling dialing this thing in pretty bad. And this is a high performance machine, but every machine has its weaknesses, right? Every machine has its weaknesses. And you know, there's many features on machines that are necessities for me to use a machine, because I want to make use with my time. I want to get the most out of the ground. And if I'm having a machine that I'm struggling with, I'm just going to go to a different machine or a different coil or have some different settings. And there's some features on detectors that are a must. There's several of them, but I'll name some top ones. The top one is, for me to have a metal detector, it's got to have coils, man. It can't just have one coil. Sure, the simplex, I did use a simplex for a long time, but that 267 simplex version was freaking awesome. That coil was outstanding, man. One of the best performing detectors that I've ever used, and super simple, super deep, high performance, good separation, recovery speed is amazing on the 267. It's just a chattery machine, you know, it didn't really have a mute button for it. But if they just put a mute button on that simplex, on that 267, it would have been just fine, man. We don't need all those extra features that the simplex has, you know. Sure, they're good. Some people like them, but there's many features on metal detectors that are a must. Coil selection is a must. The main thing that I'm looking for in a metal detector is available coils or optional coils for that, because you can switch your coil out and you can just find all kinds of stuff in a hammered sight, just a beat up sight. And you can swing over a sight for a long time with a certain coil, and you start getting less and less stuff. And then once you put a different coil on, bam, it's just a whole new sight, man. It's like a whole new detector when you put a different coil on. And one of the second features on a metal detector that is a must is it must be updatable. I have an Amphibio, and there's never been an update for that machine ever, right? They say it's updatable, but where's the update, right? I haven't seen an update since I bought this machine, the Amphibio. You know, with the simplex and the Amphibio, with the simplex and the Equinox, they've all had many updates to them. And a third one is, it's got to be lightweight. It's got to be a lightweight machine for me to swing the detector around for long hours. It's got to be lightweight, man. Swinging around those big, bulky, heavy metal detectors, those days are gone, man. Sure, my Amphibio is heavy. It's a 3.7 pound machine with the big coil on it, but it has all the optional coils, and it does really good in the iron, man. The iron separation on the Amphibio, just par none, man. It's right up there with the Deus, you know. With the Equinox, you know, the iron separation is good, but with the small coil on it, you would expect it to do a lot better. The 11-inch coil on the Equinox actually separates better in the iron than the 6-inch coil. Hate to tell you, but I've had several hours in this dump and in many other dumps, and I've just struggled with the Equinox. And another feature that a detector must have, it's got to be compactable. It's got to shorten down really tight, because I get in some tight spots, and getting under bushes, getting around tree roots, you know, having a lightweight, compactable detector, getting underneath the bushes, man. I find a lot of old stuff underneath bushes, man. And with those longer detectors, like the detectors like with cam locks on them, you know, they don't shorten down short enough. Like the stock coil on the Equinox, it's still really long once you get that thing shortened down. This detecting innovation shaft goes to 21 inches, man, so I can just shorten that thing down less than an arm length and just rotate around targets underneath bushes. And with, you know, the Equinox, it's a high performance machine too on top of that, but it's just not that durable. And that's another thing. A machine's got to be durable for me to use it. The Equinox is not a durable machine. It's actually, the parts on it are just junk, but the performance outweighs that downfall. You know, one of those one of those shortcomings of the Equinox is it's not a durable machine. The arm cuff, the shaft, the coil ears, the waterproof ability, you know, they say it's waterproof, but a lot of people have had their machines flood out. And with the Simplex, you know, like I said, you know, it doesn't have a lot of coil options, but the performance outweighs, you know, that not having a lot of coil options. And with the Amphibio, having all those coil options and it being able to separate in the iron, that's why I use it, because it has its pros and cons. Every detector has its pros and cons, and every detector has its fails. I've had the Equinox, this Equinox shaft is actually not a Mind Lab product, but it's detecting innovation shaft. It's failed on me a couple times. I've had to put replacement parts on it. But the durability of this machine, you know, I'm eventually going to break a coil, you know, here very shortly. I'm going to be breaking a coil here, and or an arm cuff. And that comes to another feature on a detector that is a must, is the performance in iron, right? It's got to separate iron. It's got to have fast recovery speed. Pretty much the same thing. I mean, sure, there's a lot of differences between recovery speed and iron separation, but they're kind of the same thing. You know, they're very similar. And the detectors that I use, you know, the Amphibio, the Simplexes, all the versions, and the Equinox, they're not perfect. You know, each one of those detectors has flaws, or it has areas where it thrives at. And I haven't found a detector that has all those features that I just was explaining, that has all those features and it kicks everybody's butt. There's probably never going to be a detector. That's why I have multiple detectors with me. When I go out on hunts, I take multiple detectors and multiple coils, and with the Equinox, I'm carrying spare parts with me because the Equinox just, you know, it has a high risk of breaking at any given time. You know, the coil ear could break on me, or the coil screw or the cuff could break on me. So I just carry spare coil screw in my bag here. And there's not a detector on the market that has all those features that kicks everybody else's butt. There's no best detector out there. There's detectors that thrive in certain areas, and there's detectors that don't do as well as my other detectors that I have. That's why I bring other detectors too, because if I start with, let's say with my Simplex, and I get a bunch of EMI, which the Simplex is very susceptible to EMI, I'll just break out my Equinox or break out my Amphibio, or you know, or just swap a coil out. That's why I take multiple detectors with multiple coils for each one of those detectors every single day I hunt, because I never know what kind of conditions I'm going to be in for the day, and I never know what site I'm going to go to next. Sometimes I get to a site and it's not producing, and I just call it quits on that site just after a few minutes if it's not producing, or if I can't get my detectors to perform in that certain site for the day. I'll just move to a different site, and I never know what site I'm going to be moving to next. So if I have a detector that detectors that will perform for me, each has its pros and cons. I'll always be able to detect a certain site. I think the Amphibio is all around, it can go in the water. It's a very durable machine. It can hunt in the iron. It is a heavy machine, though. That's the big downfall with the Amphibio. It's just such a heavy machine. And it has a lot of coil options. It has 8 different coils that I have that I can put on it. With the Equinox, I can't go in super tall grass like the Amphibio, because the Equinox will just break. It will just break. I mean, if you don't agree with me, you don't know the Equinox very good. I have a lot of stories, that I can tell you about that fails on the Equinox. All my friends have had their Equinox coils break, flood out, or arm cuffs break. Their shafts work loose and they end up breaking. And there's another feature that I forgot to tell you. It must not have cam locks on it. Cam locks are a thing of the past, man. Those manufacturers who are still putting out cam locks on detectors, those are not going to be high selling machines. You know, this is the new age, man. We have smartphones now. You know, smartphones are actually even cheaper than these detectors that we're using. You know, these smartphones, smartphones are durable. You know, I can drop phones on the ground. I can throw a phone across the room and it might not break. With the Equinox, if I throw my Equinox around the room like a phone, they probably have about the same chance to breaking, but I'm not going to be throwing around either of those because they're going to break, right? With my Simplex, I can drop kick that thing hundreds of times and it will not break. I've never had an equipment failure on a Simplex except for a speaker. That was just a manufacturing defect. The speaker failed on me. And my Amphibio, I've had 2 coils go bad on me. The first 3 weeks that I had my Amphibio, I went through 2 coils. And my Amphibio also has half of my screen, the lights don't work on it. They just kind of flicker. So, and machines fail, right? On my older Whites machines, I just had so many problems with the cam locks breaking, the coil screws breaking, them just falling apart. You know, the MX Sport was a very durable machine. I had really good luck with my MX Sport. I didn't really have too many problems with my MX Sport breaking. But with my older machines, you know, like my V3i and my MXT All Pros and the DFX and the XLT, those machines are just prone to breaking. You know, the triggers on them are very sensitive to, you know, moisture and whatnot. But having a waterproof detector, it's got to be waterproof too. Machines have got to be waterproof these days, right? And when they are waterproof, it makes them much more of a durable machine. There's one last thing. They cannot take batteries. If you end up putting batteries in your machine, that's a weak point in that machine. You know, AA batteries or 9-volt batteries, that's a weak point in that machine. And dust, water, and moisture can get inside your machine and ruin it. And machines have to be durable. They have to be separated in the iron. They have to be a compacted size. They cannot have cam locks, and they have to have optional coils. And they just have to perform the separation and the recovery speed.